Hello, everybody. So this is $5,000 WCOOP Titans event. The replay comes from Kali Poker TV. Go check out their YouTube channel. I will leave the link into the description. So let's dive into the action. So over here we can see 9 players remaining, and there are 7 places paid. So it's quite a heavy ICM scenario. So in this video, we are going to analyze the hands, see what happened, and just watch the replay, so to speak. So Revenge opens up with Ace Jack O. Lippe, high stakes reg are going all in. Over here, you can make argument that Lippe is going to go all in kind of tight-ish. He is one of the short stacks still, but like he's going to probably jam wide range of hands. But like Ace Jack O is kind of like, you want to think about like, is Lippe jamming Ace Deno? Probably. If he does, you probably have to call with that stack size, right? So over here, Malacca style, we have Lex on the small blind. For the big blinds, jamming seems pretty standard. You do want to implement a all-in range in this type of spots. Tough spot for the big blind. I'm gonna assume you have to just go ahead and call, because it's Malacca style is going to, whenever Malacca style has like ace king, ace queen, maybe even ace jack suited and some like top of the range, he's very likely to just raise none all in with such hands. So ace 10 0, you're going to probably do quite well against the open jamming range. So it makes sense to go ahead and click the call there, especially with the big stack. It's not like you're going to bust. So we're on a direct money bubble. So first place is $84,000. Mingash is $12,000. So cutoff opens over here to small size, big blind defend, kind of standard. You can make arguably a 3-bet none all in on the big blind here. Typically, you want to use a smaller ace X and like offsuit king X as you just want to block the 4-bet jams in general and strong hands. But ace 10 0 doesn't really matter. You could arguably mix it in on a lower frequency end. But I do think the calling is standard play, so it's being checked to the river. I can see Grozor going for a small, like half-pot size bet over here to get value. The idea is like, if the big blind had a queen here, it's very likely the big blind would bet on the turn or on the river himself. So I do like this play. I do think it makes a lot of sense. Big blind still can have all the 8x, 5x, 4x, 3x. Doesn't have really that many 3x, 4x to be fair. And big blind is actually supposed to, it's very likely that big blind is supposed to be calling some ace highs there. Quite a nice blocker hands for value bets. But it's indifferent, so it's a kind of zero EV. Maybe he thinks Grozor is not going to have enough bluffs there, so he don't want to bluff catch. Debatable. I think Grozor on a direct bubble is going to have a lot of strong like he's not going to try and get it in with weak queen X there from the flop. So his checking range is kind of strong, I would say. This is an interesting spot for Lena. Raid a lot, jams with Queen Jack O. 10 bigs. It is direct bubble. So whenever it's a direct bubble, it's kind of question like how wide does the shorty jam? Because there is no other short stacks. I would imagine Raid a lot is going to jam quite a wide range of hands. With Lena stack, I think you just have to call that spot. I think it's probably a little bit too tight to fold King Deuce suited. If there was a lot of short stacks, I can see the reasoning behind it, but like that seemed a little bit tight. Unless Lena has read that Raid a lot in these type of situations, is not going to jam wide enough, then it's like a different story in general. King 6 defend kind of loses, but it's probably fine with these stack depths. But basically, whenever this type of scenarios come up, like this is a big stack versus big stack, right? So even if you have a king 6 over here, top pair, you're not looking to play like a massively large pot here against other big stack, because first of all, you want to get to the money, and you don't want, like, it's not that beneficial for you, or like doesn't really make too much sense if you have, or like difference if you have like 90 big blinds or you have 70 big blinds. So typically big stackers big stack these type of spots, you just like small balling it, so to speak. I don't mind the in position player to bet here. That does connect quite well. As of sizing, I don't think, like, for the same reason I said, like on the turn it goes check check, big blind should have a lot of king x still in the range. So I don't think in position player is going to randomly have like a lot of high equity hands on the turn. And whenever your opponent is ungapped, you can't really size up. So I'm not a big fan of the turn sizing from in position player here. I think he should probably cap it to 2/3. You can make arguably like a small frequency play if you want to split your ranges. So let's say you want to use a pot size and you want to use use a 2/3 size. You probably get to do it. You're still going to have some type of value range to do so. BBC Brieflop Shards and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. So over here, Revenge goes all in. This is a hard spot. With a7, raid a lot, having 9 big blinds. You hate your life here. You hate your life here. You know the revenge guy needs to go all in with a wide range of hands, right? So yeah, you're gonna hate the life here. I'm gonna assume this is just a fault though. The idea is you're probably going to you're looking to get about like 60% equity facing this type of a jam. A7-0, it's just not going to get that type of equity in general, I would imagine. Or it's very difficult to get to 60% plus equity. I think this is probably a slight mistake to call. And he does double. So over here, Queen Jack-O goes ahead and min raises, raid a lot. Has to put it in. There's not much you can do. Servala probably has to fold. Raid a lot is going to jam very tight, like not very tight, but like tight dish range. You're probably not getting to odds to make a call over here, considering ICM. But if right a lot, the ace-2 suited fold seems a little bit tightish. It's probably on the line. I would personally most likely just min raise it, as you're not going to. You're mostly going to use a min raise there. There will be probably a little bit jamming coming into the strategy. Over here, again, I would min raise this King Queen O. I don't think early position you have that much all-in strategies coming in. The reason would be your opening range will be already so tight. You don't really need to go ahead and rip a lot. Like King Queen O, probably perfect to just min raise. Lex over here, Queen 10-0. Kind of tight dish. Dirty. Yeah, it's probably fine. The idea is he's one of the short stacks. He's trying to get in the money. So if you go ahead and you start opening, blinds can just 3-bet you and you're just going to fold too much. So Still Quintino kind of tight-ish. So, but then again, like one thing is to watch the replay. Another thing is actually play, because you do have reads how people play, like how aggressive have the blind spin and like how much they drib it. You do have, like, if you play a lot with regs, you will know their tendencies quite well. I would say it is a little bit more unique spot because you're in 7 bait type of scenario with 8 players remaining. So over here, sixes, you probably just want to jam. Aerify is also fine. As long as you don't fold, I think it's fine. I do lean more towards opening, but jamming is totally fine. That's such a weird thing when somebody goes into a tank with a decision if he's supposed to be opening or not. Always feels like it's never top of the range. So Lena goes ahead and calls over here. King 8-0 is a little bit too wide here, I would say. Like, it's probably the bottom still, though. But Lena is another big stack, so you want to be a little bit more careful when you open. Sixes, Lipa goes ahead and raises. I'm going to say this is probably in the bottom, or I don't mind. Like, it's most likely a fold or a mix to a open, because you're under the gun. So, and you do have bigger stacks in the table. Then again, it's not the end of the world. So 883, big blind should have most likely a leading range here, because under gun player doesn't have 8x basically, and big blind does defend 8x, so there should be a little bit leads coming from the big blind. A small bet, it's fine. But you don't really see that much people leading on bare boards in general. But with ICM scenarios, when big blind covers trips a lot better than opponent, then big blind does introduce some leading ranges here and there. Sometimes they get very aggressive. Sometimes, for the most part, it's probably on the lower end, like 25 to 50%. Like 50% is like I have you don't kind of area. If somebody still has a little bit, you will go down to about like 25%. Opening queens, everybody has to fold here. This seems like another like fold. Revenge opens, everybody have to fold type of scenario. I think you can call with 7-5 suited in general here. It's just a little bit too loose. Like, you don't need to be pipped that much. Cutoff is supposed to be playing somewhat tight, considering button is covering. Even though it's button covers, Lipek do cover revenge, but like it's not that big of a chip stack difference. So Lena comes in with raise with 9A suited. It's fine. Everybody folds. Lena, what is this? Then for suited. Interesting. I don't think I need to comment on that. You're not supposed to be opening that wide. There's no chance. No chance. I did not expect that though. Did not expect that. Maybe it's a misclick. Misclick. Maybe it's how he thinks he should be playing there. In equilibrium, very hard to see that being a thing. Raid a lot probably has to defend here. You need to defend something, right? So that's a little bit too tight of fold. Even though Grozorg is supposed to be very tight, you still need to defend like probably like 20 to 30% of your hands. Suited cappers typically will end up being in that range. So next raises, I assume Elena is going for the call. Next can go either way here. Bet, check. I don't think it matters too much. Ooh. So Lex is definitely going to barrel here. Hard to see him not barreling, to be fair. Probably goes 5, 6 B blinds. 4, okay, on the smaller side a little bit. But the ace is a good card for Lex, right? Lex is opening all the ace-X, all the broadways. So ace actually connects very well. So it's probably on a little bit higher frequency turn barrel. That's interesting now. So from Lena's perspective, it's not that simple for Lex to bluff here anymore, and Lena did hit 2 bears, so it might make sense to donk from Lena's perspective if you would assume Lex is not going to find enough bluffs there. As you with 2 bears, you just want to get value in general. Queen Jack O is a little bit too loose here. I would just fold. Could still be a mix in equilibrium though. Ace King check back for Lex. Tough spot. Tough spot. I'm gonna go ahead and say like that's a little too tight. But even though like in ICM you actually do see that being a thing where like 1 pair hands are not going to be going that often into 3 streets, so to speak. But if Lena had like really good hand, so to speak, he's very likely to either lead the turn. Like I guess on an ace, not exactly because Lex has a lot of top pairs, but it would still like check raise a lot on the turn. So there are very few like 2 pair combos for Lena there, I feel. So Lex should probably still go for value with ace king. But it is ISM, so in ISM there are like you can't really value bet as wide, so I might be wrong about that one. I personally probably would triple it off. It's deuce open, Grozdorg defense. You want to see bet this type of board quite often as an in position player because you're opening basically broadways and ace highs, some king highs, right? And for that reason, this will be like kind of high frequency bets in general. So ace jacks with it. So this is a spot where it's fine to flat. You can 3-bet. You can opt to play with direct money bubble. You probably are fine to flat, but often you will see these spots actually play 3-bet fold. Servla probably should be going to non all in here to like 10 big blinds. You can still have a folding range. Choosing to play such strategy. Calling typically is not much of a thing in this type of spots for out of position player. Also, it's a little bit on the larger side, almost 3xing over there. I would go slightly smaller, but same thing. It's fine. In position player, probably just need to fold here. You have better hands to push. Wow, he goes into a dang, hey? Let's see. It is possible. So, this type of spots in general, if you play, especially high stakes, the ideas that happen here is like, hey, is this guy pushing me around? Because, so, what you want to think about these type of spots are, yes, he's saying he has aces, kings, maybe a little bit ace king, right? But it's very small portion of the range. And once it's very small portion of the range, and you start thinking like, hey, it's 30 big blind effective free when you 3-bet, meaning that out of position player should probably have about like less than 30% of bluffs in their range actually. And if you look it from the frequency perspective, if it's like aces and kings, let's say, that's like what? 1% of value. So it only takes couple of hands to be do many bluffs in your range. And for that reason, 5-bet jamming can be very profitable because you just expect too many 4-bet bluffs in several range. So definitely can see that being a thing. And you do see that it does look sometimes dumb. So Lex goes all in over here. Servo wakes up with kings. But it does look dumb if you run into aces. But this type of spots in high stakes specifically, you do see rakes often go like, hey, might be do lose, all of that stuff. But like there are some, so to speak, meta where people do understand like it's easy to overbluff, right? Because the percentage of bluffs out of your whole range should be on the low end, and you have very few value bets, so it's very easy to overbluff as a 4-bet there. So for that reason, he probably was like, hey, I have ace jack suited. I think he's just trying to pressure me, so I'm not gonna allow that, and I'm gonna jam ace jack suited. So that does make a lot of sense to me if you look it from that perspective. So with 96 big blinds opening, it's fine. Typically you do like whenever you get deeper, so we are in the money now, right? It's 6 remaining, so you do want to open more towards blocker hands whenever it's getting shallow. But over here, it's not that shallow. Lena has 60 big blinds, probably shouldn't really have much of a 3-betting range. And big blind, 40 big blinds. So all of that said, it's kind of fine. I don't think there is much problem with opening that one, just because you're so deep. But let's say everybody had like 25 big blinds behind you. I don't think you want to really open 6-5 suited in that case, because you just want, because everybody's game other than big blind will be like to basically 3-bet or fold. And 6-5 doesn't block anything, so you kind of want to go ahead and opt to play a blocker hand. So opening like king 6-0 would block kings, ace king, king queen. So that would be better blocker wise. Suited king X are really really good though to open there. Then I know there is no short stack, so you probably fine to keep playing like decent frequency on the button here, because there is no like super short stack. So even though the big line is a big stack, I would probably still open that one. Limping and opening here as a 20 big blind stack is fine. So this is just a little dip. If you play a lot of final tables, you will see imposition player always isolates here. In high stakes games, I don't think it's not as much true, because you just play same guys very often. But as an imposition player, I do have like over the years, especially like mid stakes, when people know they get to put ICM pressure, and these hands are just mixed. But to me, it seems more like people are not mixing. They're just like, I'm gonna put pressure on you. It's first time that it happens, and it's typically just like first hand, I would say. So keep your eye out for that if you final label yourself and such spots come up. So lane open says 7-0. That's fine-ish. Everybody's playing 3-bet fold basically, besides small blind and big blind. Cutoff also will have flatting range here. So goes check. Small blind definitely needs to have a kind of wide flatting range here actually. Makes sense you just bet small here. What is Lena cooking here? I'm not sure you want to do this with ace of, like, raising, sure. Raising with ace of hearts though, you kind of want the other guy to have a heart, right? You can make argument that small blind is not going to go ahead and use ace of hearts, because makes a lot of sense to check that one, right? You, so to speak, have showdown value, or like you might think you have. So not 100% sure, but I could see it being a mixed strategy. The problem with a7 is like it's in the middle. You beat all the bluffs and you beat some value bets, right? So it doesn't really make that much sense. But then again, if you bet and check you and you get to check in front of the river, you just get to check it back, right? So Lippe open stance, big blind defense, ace jack O, very standard, small bet size. You need to defend here, so he's going to either check raise or call. Those are two options. So on a five connects kind of well with revenge bluffing range, right, on the flop. So if he had 9-8, basically if he had like a cut shot type of a hand, it connects quite well. So your ace jack type of, or like your ace highs with backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw that you choose to check raise. Now you kind of want to keep barreling those because that's pretty much your bluffs. Rest should be bears or better, or like not all of it, but like quite often. You probably want to give up with ace jack now. You still can win sometimes. It's not 0%, but it's close to 0. In practice, in equilibrium, you probably shouldn't, because if in position player has like a flush draw, probably needs to bluff because he doesn't have anything else to bluff. Lippe should probably. That's interesting though. Probably just I would just value bet jam it probably. The idea is if Revenge had King X, or like, basically if Revenge had better than tens, he would probably just repeat himself. So that means Revenge range should be 7x, 6x, 5x, and yes, 7x would like to check raise on the flop on a lower frequency end. In final label, you do use your second and third pairs as check raises. It's not like super high frequency, but you do use blocker hands like those often. So this makes sense to jam there because the big blind's range should be basically weak pairs at that point, and he needs to defend somehow against jams, so he needs to call you. And in practice, as you play humans, not solver, right? You do also get that it might always be like 7x is as a best hand for B blind there, and for that reason you should always jam dens, right? It is possible that he is going to mix in what use. It is possible he's going to mix in some trap checks, but trap checking these type of spots are typically not a good idea, especially if you play lower, because if you go ahead and you start trapping somebody, let's say you wanted to check a boat there, that means in position player has to at least find the frequency to bluff. But after you check raise double barreled, it's unlikely that it's very simple for in position player to find the bluffs. And for that reason, you typically just want to keep barreling. Even solver likes to barrel those spots, and solver would find the bluffs, right? Okay. King 4-0. With two shorties, you're just gonna jam King 4-0 here, I imagine. So you're like King 2, King 3, King 4. Typically, we like to jam these, like very small King X. I don't like the Queen's jam. I don't think that's going to be as great. You want to go non all in with Queens. And you definitely want to have bluffs there, as well as small blind with a big stack needs to pressure you. So it's very bluff heavy range. So you do want to have non all in. You should have all in sizing as well there, but non all in makes a lot more sense to me. So I check opens, Lena defense with nines. That's fine. Small bet size, just fold on the flop for Lena. Yeah, he does have backdoor flush draw, but it's probably still a fold. The idea is Lipe is 35 big blinds, right? Lena has 50 and Button has 72, meaning Lipe is in an ICM, really heavy ICM scenario where his opening range should be very tight. And it's going to be tight to the extent where he's probably supposed to be opening around 20% of the hands, could arguably be even less, meaning he's just going to connect with the Broadway so often that even if you are ahead on the flop, it's very likely going to be quite a high frequency barrel on the turn. And for that reason, you don't really win against hands that are you're ahead of, because you're going to face a second barrel from those hands quite often, because everything is connected to with 20% range on the king queen x, right? So I would probably have folded the pocket nines. I could be wrong. It could be still a defend with nine of spade, but I would probably have just folded. Three deuce suited defend. That's probably too loose to defend on the big blind. You should probably just fold. Just a bottom suited. Then again, you do see this defense. It is against big stack, but like I would probably have just folded pre with that stack depth. Good jack. King queen suited. You probably want to jam against big stack. If he had like a middling stack, you probably want to call more. And the idea is big stack is going to open wide range of hands, right? If he opens wide range of hands, that means you're going to have a lot of fold equity. And if you have a lot of fold equity, well, you want to jam more. So against the big stack, I think you like this big of a stack, you probably just want to put it in pre-flop. But if he had like 30 big blinds, 40 big blinds, I think calling will become would outperform jamming pre-flop. 779 could arguably lead a little bit. If he bets one, you mostly want to call. There is a check raising coming in though as well. It looks awfully like in position player is milking with like pocket aces type of range. I think Grosdorg is just going to fold here. Could arguably maybe defend this still. Wouldn't be the end of the world. That's really bad card for Grossorg, because even if Servla was bluffing, it's very difficult. Like, Den will connect so well with bluffs. So Servla should probably just triple it off always here on 10 of spade with that combo. That doesn't make too much sense either. I guess he's just repping he's gonna have a lot of flushes here, because Servla choose a small bet size, so he's just leading, ripping a flush here. That could that makes sense. Very high level thinking and play here. In position player can still jam bluff here with this hand. Again, it's not like he connected that well with like he also has all the flushes, right? So whenever that is going to be true, you don't mind jam bluffing here. But it is hard for Grossorg to bluff in these spots. Like, what are you really bluffing, right? But he's obviously a good player, knows what he's doing, very high level. So nice play. Lane open, slip should be flatting here, and big blind should go ahead. Three betting is interesting, totally fine, but I do think this one would probably flat. You want to three bet smaller a6, like a6 suited, a7 suited, a9 tends to call for the most part. Lena can go for a call here. non all in 4-bet. Jamming could be also fine-ish. BBC Brieflop Shards and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. I would say fold, but I'm expecting a 5-bet here, guys. I'm expecting a 5-bet here. It's going into a click game. It's going into a click game. Nah. Lane opens with Queen 9 suited. I'm gonna assume Raid a lot is going to defend. Then again, we did see earlier he was very tight on the big blind. Yeah, he's finding this one. So this will go check, bet 1, and done. Very simple flop to play. So min raise, fold, call. This will be probably bet small and fold from Lena. Again, you're playing peak stack versus peak stack. Even though you cover, it's arguably like not that like you don't want to really play for stacks in general. So sizing up it over here, it doesn't make sense because you don't like only time you want to play for stacks are basically 2 pairs and sets. And that's just such a small percentage of your range to start size up those spots. But could still build some ranges here and there for that. 5-3-0 makes a lot of sense to raise. Lipa has to fold this one. King 7-0 should be folding, but like he might put on a pressure. No, he's in line. 6-8 suited. You do probably see a limping range coming in at 20 big blinds here. If he wanted to, but like suited connectors, one gappers probably just rip it in. The idea is the big blinds risk premium is about them, no, like 15% or whatever. And bot odds you're getting is probably around like 47%. So meaning big blind needs like about 60% equity, 63% equity in these type of spots. And once that's needed, it's just not like easy to get even against a wide range of hands. So you do put that pressure on often in those spots. Queen 9-0, I would say this kind, like it's probably a fold. But if small blind is not 3-betting and not that aggressive big stack, I don't mind pressuring myself from the cutoff. You should be really folding that one. Ace 3-0, just pure jam. Offsuit Ace-X, this type of spots, you just rip it in, get the folds, same math. In-position player just needing like around like probably a little bit less than 60% equity, but still it's a lot of equity you need to make a call against wide range of hands. Not easy to get. So this will be Lena needs to play a call here. You are not going to 3-bet pocket fours. This is like one of the spots you will see the rainbow type of spot where like you could be maybe start sizing up if you wanted to. And the idea is the big blind has to find defense, and if big blind doesn't have 2x, 3x that often, and like basically even if you size up, big blind is kind of forced to defend very wide with weak holdings. You can make argument that if Lena is calling like tens, jacks, maybe queens, kings, or something like that, then you can size up because there is, in that case, Lena is going to end up with a lot of high equity hands in his range, so you can't really go and size up. Sizing up on a deuce, I'm not sure about that. So the idea over there is Lena, like with ICM, Lena's range should get pretty tight there, and is supposed to have decent amount of deuce X. And once that's true, Impossible player doesn't really have any Deus Ex played on that line, or like close to zero. So, not that big of fan on that bet size. But Lena is not supposed to be defending that much offsuit Deus Ex. If any, most of that might be just 3 betting, like Ace Deuce, so just 3 bet bluff, right? So, not the end of the world, but I think I would like 2/3 there, not bot. So open, defend. You probably just want to call here, as your king high is showed a value. Rate a lot is in a spot here. You can continue barreling, but like checking makes a lot of sense as well. Again, like one pair hands tripling off and stuff with ICM is typically not as great. It is a shorter stack play though. Hmm. So, so over here the bet size. I think you should be probably sizing smaller, because if you think about it, you get to size up when your opponent is capped, right? But raid a lot checks a lot of A6 because he understands he can't go broke with a lot of A6, right? And for that reason, raid a lot is going to end up with a lot of drips in his range, meaning Lipe can't really start sizing up. He can build a part of the range with like A6 to size up, right? But you can arguably say he's jamming most of that pre-flop. So he doesn't really have much of ace-x. Raid a lot has a lot of ace-x. So sizing up king queen there probably, if I had to guess, is a mistake. As Raid a lot is going to have a lot of ace-x in his range, I would imagine. So it would just not qualify. I think betting small makes more sense with king queen there, or check call if you want to go for that. I think either of those, but sizing up with king queen seems a little bit ambitious. I missed the action here actually. Interesting. Okay. Either way, there is a bet. I'm wondering why they like. How did they get here? Very interesting. I'm not going to scroll it back. Can check later. Nothing Grozark should do here. Anything else than calling. You can arguably jam if you expect Lip and Ever to bluff any rivers, but like, come on. He's going to bluff sometimes, right? And you have the nut. Like, there is no river card for Grossork that he's going to choose to fold. Like, none. Interesting spot. Like, you need to have give ups here for sure, because you did not like your range did not improve on the turn, so you need to give up your bluffs on the turn. And your range didn't improve on the river, so you need to have give ups on the river as well. But you still need to have some bluffs, so it's more question about the combos and blockers you want to choose. So doesn't really matter as long as you're staying within the frequencies, unless you're trying to exploit something. So Grossark's strategy over here is to limp his range. Could arguably, like, if you look a lot of solutions, you will see about like 5 to 8% RFI coming in, but like here and there, but like mostly just limp your range, or like limp your V-pipping range is the play here. Goes to check call. On an ace, you probably get to have small frequency leads, as you do play ace X like that. And the Impossible player probably doesn't have that many ace X. Not much you can do there with the gut shot. Lena's going to open. and I'm gonna assume everybody are going to fold. Raidelot seems to be playing on a tighter side. Then again, he didn't have chips, so maybe at 30 big blinds he's changing that. But King 8 really wants to fold there, so makes a lot of sense. It's gonna get interesting over here. There's a possibility that button will go for a 3-bet over here. Obviously, the ace-x do mix in on lower frequency in these type of spots. Lena is going to go for a jam? Really? I don't think that's a play, bro. I think you mostly want to call. Nah, like, with only one 10 big blind stack, it's probably not a play. Like, if there was a, like, everybody 10 big blind stack and then you do it, sure. But, like, one big blind, one shorty, it's probably, like, little out of line. Still fine, though. It's probably, like, it's going to be plus CV, right? Nine seven zero. This is too loose of an open, especially into a short stack, I would say. Queen 9-0, probably slightly too loose. Then again, it's like often it's kind of like you're feeling out the table, see how people playing and whatnot. That like if you have an idea that hey, maybe the table plays on average too tight in these type of scenarios, you do get to play a wider range of hands. But in ICM, like typically people are pretty like well studied for pre-flop in high stakes, like not too many mistakes for in that area. I'm gonna imagine it's just going to be a big blind defend here. He's going for a jam. I think you want to jam. The idea is like Raidelot is opening a tight range. Whenever there is like very tight range type of open, it's like not that great to jam that much because you like it's very first of all it's very simple for Raidelot to play, and there ain't that much like strategies. If you check a lot of them, there ain't that much like 25 big blind jamming. Unless there is like a lot of short stacks, then it's a little bit different, right? So bet queen. So the way you want to think about from Servla perspective is like, does queen improve your bluffing range or not? I would say no. Kind of blank card. So you're likely to have a give ups on the turn with bluffs. So with 4-8, there will be a lot of cut shots, so he needs to choose which ones he wants to give up. He can't always barrel. If you always barrel, you probably overbluff. If you choose to overbluff, that means you anticipate the imposition player to overfold. That is debatable, but hey. Just the way we should be thinking about these spots. Jack 9, no, just fold. King 4 is Serula is probably just going to open here, I imagine. So now he has like 2x Delena stack almost. So you do like get to RFI still wide. You get to put pressure. He can choose both ways here. I don't think it's a mandatory C bet because it's going to this board is connecting with Lena's board. Lena is not going to 3-bet you likely with jacks and tens. Actually, Lena actually might. But like that's the way you kind of want to think about it, right? So you don't have that much hands in your range that would qualify as value bet. So you don't get to bet your range. And once you don't get to bet your range, it's kind of mix everything to bet and checks. So Ace 10 opens, that's fine. Good blocker hands. Very small 3-bet over here from Zerla. Ace 10 O is so typically these spots you want to think. Ace 10 O is probably somewhat on your bottom side of the range. So you just want to fold those. You have better hands to go for 4-bet champs. So we definitely. Ooh, what is this? Really? Hmm. Interesting strategy choice. I'm not actually sure if you have a jamming range here. If I had to guess, I would say no. Pocket three is too call, probably too loose to be fair. I like that. You do have like 7 big blinds or whatever, but like the jamming ranges tend to like actually you do 7. Maybe it's fine actually. It depends how he sees the centralized building his jamming range. But like jamming like 40 big blinds effectively, it's like basically what he's doing is saying like, hey, I'm going to open such a wide range of hands that if you want to VPip a lot, you need to build a jamming range. And you need a jamming range because if you don't have a jamming range, what's going to end up happening is you're going to overfold to 3-bet jams and 3-bet not all ins. So that's why he's building a jamming range. He's expecting he has to VP a lot of hands, and the way he can do it, well, you build a jamming range. It's like kind of whatever. So over here, Queen do so is 3-betting against Lena. That's kind of whatever. Lena defense. This is one of the spots where you do see a calling range from in versus 3-bets. So I think it's like he could jam as well. I assume. Also, Servlad seems like the way the hand, like obviously we see the hands, so it's a little bit different. But the way I'm seeing this, like we do see a lot of hands, and Serverless just seems to be like trying to put the pressure on. So I think if I was Lena, I might have just ripped it in for that reason. It just to me, I would imagine he would likely see to me that he's just trying to put a max pressure, and he might be over bluffing in this type of spots. Pocket fives, you can probably just rip it in the middle, and you would expect everybody to do that, at least in high stakes game. It does choose to go for min raise. That's interesting. Probably still want to jab those though. It's not in the end of the world to min raise though. Yeah, you can actually make a case that you're just opening such a tight range, you don't really need to jam, so it doesn't really matter. Based on how Servla has played, he's going to play this one as min raise. So the idea, though, like you do see, like he's opening like random, like very weak hands, right? And then he jams Queen Jacko. What he does is he opens top range and bottom range, and he jams everything or like most stuff in the middle to justify opening probably like 50% of hands got off hijack. That's how you expand, not expand, you just like, that's how you get to VP like 40-50% there. You're just introducing a all-in range. They just like RFI, limp, whatever. It's matter too much. Oh, full. It's a little on the tight side, but not 100% sure about that one. Could be fine default though. Could be. But I think it is like people do seem a little bit tight at times, then a little bit loose at times. It's kind of like weird. Krosner can go whatever here. I kind of feel. I don't think you want to raise to 3 big blinds though. Again, Servla is going to ISO here probably. And Krosner probably just rips it in his face, I would imagine. The good old limp jam deuces from the small blind, huh? So everybody's going to fold here. Ace two suited, probably suited like wheel aces like to jam me in these spots. I imagine he wants to. This is very clear. He wants to whip really wide percentage of hands here, so he's going to just rip it in. King Jack is open, and everybody going to fold against this open. Unless somebody gets out of line. Can happen. We haven't seen that. Serra probably opens this one based on the idea in his head how he is supposed to be playing. So another thing is like if you look at this cards up coverage or like see how people play, it becomes very like obvious how people also think. It's like especially if you understand poker very well. You can basically range people based on this because you will see exactly how they think for most part. Queen Jack, oh, yeah, it's fine. He might jam this. He might jam this. 8-4 suited. He might actually go for min raise with 8-4 suited as well. Like 8-3 suited kind of gets more closer, right? So it does make sense to see a jam there. By the way, if you're playing on lower stakes or something and you start jamming and people calling you off way too wide, don't do it. That's not your strategy in that case. You need to have the respect and fold equity to start implementing such strategies. It's interesting that he didn't choose to jam King 8-0 here, considering how wide he seems to want to play. But it's fine. Like I would also probably, for most part, just min raise. The defend is obviously fine from Lipa. Even though Lipa wants to play, yeah, it's fine. Still a lot of jams Lipa wants to play. Probably have to defend this. Like it's just a one. You do have gut shot. Eh. Very annoying spot with this stack distribution. But yeah, it's very hard to see people you folding a gut shot here. It is the worst, like one of the worst ones. No, this is the worst one. He's supposed to. Serra is probably supposed to be barreling here quite a bit with the king highs. Like Serra range is very like king high, queen high, jack high, offsuit type of hand heavy. Because he's choosing to split sizes to all in and min raise pre-flop and like yeah, it's just the way it's going to play. This doesn't rep really too much. So the problem with this bet size is it's basically saying I have a 10, right? Because if you had ace, you probably jam pre-flop, right? Big chip leader opens, you will probably want to re-steal. He's playing wide range of hands, right? So it doesn't really make that much sense, other than hey, I'm trying to value bet the 10 here. You can still have a couple of like traps, so to speak, but like seems very like weakish bet and like yeah, it's very interesting that Serra actually jammed there though. With sevens, you can't really go ahead and call. You can need about 60% equity, 60+% equity there. From Lena's perspective, it's not easy to get it. So this will just go in and everybody will fold. Grozorg is going to open this one. What else can he do? Suited A6. We love suited A6. In general, about the sizes, just use min-raise. It does not really matter if you like use. I personally like 2.1x, 2.2x. 2.1x just visually looks like more. It's kind of the same thing. 2.5x, like, I don't think it matters. You do want to see bet high frequency here because you basically opening A6, right? You're opening kind of tight-ish range there. That is towards A6 in general. This is going to be a min raise here. This is probably expanding too much though. But that's how, like, again, that's how he plays. To be fair, there is difference being a chip leader having like 40, 50 big blinds here or having a fucking 105 big blinds. So if you have 105, it's like, doesn't really matter as much. Lippers should be just going all in. But yeah, like that seems a little bit pushing the boundaries there. This will go all in, most likely. Just the way he's like playing and stuff. This is like middling hand, so he's going to put it in. Grozorg needs too much equity to make a call with King Queen, so just fold. What is going on here? Okay, let's move on. King Jack O is interesting. He's going for a limp jam, limp call. The problem is if Servla would go like really huge ISO size, I think that would be problematic a little bit for the King Jack O. Okay, neither of players should really. No, Servla shouldn't really have much of A6 played on this line. Very little. And Grozorg can definitely have A6 played like this. So if it goes check, Grozorg can pretty comfortably start value betting to river here. I think Servla wants to bet either here. Like, you have a bear, you have, so to speak, showdown. The ranges are still wide. Yeah, I don't like this. This is full of shit type of a bet size. Hey, let's bet and check it back. Grozorg, seeing how he plays, knowing I have played with him, wouldn't have shocked me to see him check raise this. Because once you bet one, it makes no sense. Are you betting one if you have ace? No. Do you want to bet one if you have king? Maybe, probably still no, right? So basically, by him betting one, it just caps his range to very extensively. So I don't really like the bet one there at all. Just doesn't make sense. I do think like the bet one would be kinda. It would make sense to play, so to speak, like random players. If you play a random player or somebody who does not really play like think high level, but I think that's just like me. So Servla is probably going to go non all in and get sit in. I think you could arguably jam, but the idea of going non all in is if raid a lot, lane waking up with something and Lippe also goes all in, you actually can get away from with this one, right? Wow, Servla just in the god mode, huh? Just the god mode. Aces, kings, eights against nines now. That's how you would like to run in a 5K. I can tell you that much. It's definitely how we want to run in a 5K, guys. Actually, this is exactly how we want to run in any fucking final label or any tournament, to be fair. Jack 10-0 is like a too, like, that's probably too tight. Like, you still need to defend that one. So, the idea of you needing to be very tight comes from the fact that somebody is opening tight, right? Yes, it's ISM pressure and all of that one, but Serena is like, it's been all over the place. It's like not having a fold button, right? So you do need to still defend those type of hand like Jack 10. Oh, it just seems a little bit too tight to fault there. Seeing how it have been played out, obviously we see cards he did not, right? And unfortunate for Grozdork, finishing fourth place for 31,000. Very high level player. At least thinks very high level. You can see it in his game. Lena probably wants to raise here. Could drop as a limp as well. Raising makes sense. I would probably choose to go 3x. Doesn't really fucking matter though. It does not matter. The like small things. Also, if you let Solver to use 2.5x, 3x, it probably makes everything. What a shitty flop if you have pocket tens, huh? You're not happy. You're not happy. Zebra, in the other hand, just would love to see it then, huh? He's going to... Interesting check by him. But he is supposed to be checking here quite a bit. Leynan seems to be betting a lot of mixed equity. Even though over here it could make sense if you think Servla is betting all the Queen X, Jack X away, that you're then just becoming a value bet here. The sizing also is like small and like kind of feels like this does not make sense. I understand. He's basically saying he has like weak, like even if you have weak Queen X, Jack X, do you really want to choose this size? Tens are kind of the same as a Jack X here, to be fair. Servla like just putting pressure on, huh? I'm not a big fan with open ender here though. Sure, bluffing, but again, he might be looking at Lena and be like, "Yo, bro, this just does not make sense. You are being very weak here, very capped with this because of the size you chose." So I like the Servla just putting the pressure on Lena, and Lena should really like make sure he like. I guess people just not 2-betting enough, but like if somebody starts 2-betting you a lot, like these middling strength hand value bets, especially with in final label and with ICM, those are not really good ones. And like pretty, I would say like in theory it's pretty easy to counter and play, and I think it's probably costing him some EV in the long run. But obviously Lena by default he plays very like, he's not that solver based, and he plays like more on a field as a field player, and he plays against the like exploitative strategies more, I would say, and he does like a lot of out of the box things. That's why he's so successful, right? But I do think like that type of bets and stuff might not be the greatest way to go about it. Then again, it's like I can see a lot of merit if you played like weaker players the way you play. If you play a strong player, it's probably not as great. So over here we see open, defend. H2SO typically wants to 3-bet, so would like to see mostly a 3-bet there, but calling also fine. So 300, everybody locked up $43,000. So it's going to jam 5-4 suited here, but like jamming is not that big of a thing on three-handed final label. The idea is the risk premiums go a little bit more down, and the jamming shouldn't really. It's way different game with 3-handed. And like the ranges do change, and it's like very unique. I did seminars and I did look into 3-handed final label blades. It's kind of unique, I would say. Like the way you should be playing, and big stacks not getting to pressure as much, and like it's very interesting. Anyways, we will take a look at this heads up as well. BBC Brieflop Charts and Trainer. The most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. Wow, it's 21-minute heads up match. So still a little bit to go. So limp pot, ace high, trying to just get the showdown. It's typically how you play heads up with ace highs. You can also mix in a bet here and there. It does happen, but your range is just so wide in general. So I'm not a big fan of this bet size only, as you can rate a lot 2 chances to bet, right? You did not choose to bet, so your then X should be a good, like pretty fucking good. And once it's good, why not size up? So I think sizing is a little bit small. Okay, ace king, it's probably raise, limp. Don't think it matters too much. It's retweeted. I think it's like mostly like the limp. Them heads up poker. Not heads up poker is always interesting. Not like people do study heads up as much. That's why sit and go players typically have edge on heads up in everything. It's 5-0, just jam, jam, jam. So limping, you can raise these at 20 big blinds. It does happen. I guess Ray Lodge is thinking he's going to have a little bit showdown value with a queen high. If several is betting, you probably even have to call here at times with some type of queen high. I think Serra is going to bluff this. I think Serra is going to bluff this. He might actually think the 10 high is good, but on a 9, he might. Yeah, I assume he thinks 10 9. Yeah, he's going to have a lot of like random hands. It is a limp pot, right? So it's going to have a lot of like lower guards. But the problem here is like, well, a lot of lower guards want to bet the turn as well, right? So I don't mind the bluff. I don't mind the check. Nice value bet by Raid a lot. So Servla min raise. That's fine. So queen 3, queen 4, queen 2s, like all these, like whenever you have deuce 3, 4, like 20, 25 big blinds, these two tend to heavily go into a limping range. You basically don't want to raise 2x, 3x, and 4x's in general. Sarah just sun runs, huh? Red Lot should probably give up. So whenever the board is 5, 7, 10, you can already see there are like infinite amount of like equity hands you can just barrel. Even though this like queen 3 and stuff like that still runs bluffs. But like you have a lot of draws to go to also bluff. Good size up. I like it. Same praised. I don't think it matters too much. Mostly probably just limping though. Uh it's not going to call the Jack 6, so I can tell you that much. Unless he plays some different game. Unless he plays some different game, you don't expect too much calls with Jack 6. Jack the no, raise, limp, don't think matters. 9 high board, so I'm gonna imagine it's going for bet raise. I don't mind the call here, but like you probably just want to raise. I would probably raise. Maybe not. Like I think the size is fine. Just thinking maybe a little bit smaller size to go for raise. So Serra might even have to call here. Like he needs to defend somehow, right? And like overguards are your best thing to go, but he's going to have a lot of like backdoor flush or backdoor straight draw hands. It's possible that he has enough that doesn't really need to call, especially when he raid a lot size to that size. So Zebra goes to a min raise jam. It's going to get called now. They run it. 7 on the flop, hey? The run good seems to be over for Zebra. Does Red Lot take it home? Red Lot's going for a limp here. It's fine. Obviously, as long as you don't fault here, you're fine. But Zebra thinking here goes for the good old 7-3-0 raise. Probably fine. It's nice to see the camera is still working normal. I know what happened earlier with that. So Red Lot goes for a min raise. I think you like at 40 big blinds, you typically want to size a little bit bigger than min by default, like 2.3, 2.5. I think it matters too much, but like you kind of want to size a little bit more up. Check, check, check. I think Sarah is going to bluff and Red Lot just calls. Told ya. Wow, so they are guided deep stack now, huh? I think Raidalot is going to bet here. Very small bet size though. Sarah coming in with a check raise, maybe? Thinking about it. Just check call. Raidalots should go baller here. This is probably too small. So if you bet very small with an ace on the flop, basically what you're doing is like, hey, telling your opponent, hey, if you have ace, start check raise me, right? He did not choose to check raise you. So Raidalot probably just should be overbetting the turn, at least pot it. Yeah, like I don't like the line there. Feels like a lot of value is missed. Can bet, can check. I don't think it matters too much. Don't think it matters from raid a lot perspective either. Probably just raise. I don't mind the call, but if you call, you need to make sure like your opponent is going to go ahead and barrel and stuff like that. Very small sizing though. I would probably size a little bigger here. $740 at 50. Probably not a fold. Like I don't think you get to fold like close to any hands. 50, like probably bottom 5% maybe. So 740 probably not in there, right? Overbet, that's interesting. Typically, overbets come in on rainbow boards rather than suited with the flush draw boards in general. Deus Ex again. Deus Exes are like Deus Ex 3x, 4x. Like those are the hands you don't really want to raise, and those go mostly into a limping range. It could be non-zero, but still, like typically speaking. So small bet. Zero is not going anywhere here. I kind of feel it's going to defend. Raid a lot is probably just going to barrel. Even though you need to sometimes probably just give up here. You can't always barrel like you could, because on the flop you basically have one value bet, two bluffs, right? On the turn it's 1-1. So on the three does connect with your range somewhat, but you can't go from like, hey, I'm always firing a bluff unless like the turn guard really connected with the flop bluffs. But with wide versus wide range scenarios, it's not that simple to happen really. Because you're just gonna have so many different hands you're going to choose to bet, right, on the flop. Red love bet small. Again, I would personally prefer a little bit bigger RFI sizes at this depth. Then again, doesn't really matter that much, I guess. I'm not a heads up expert by any means, so if you are, you can tell in the comments what should we do. Or go bbzpoker.com and check out the charts. There are heads up charts. You can go look it up there. Yeah, like you have aces. You want to build a bot. At 50 big blinds, probably 2.5xing at this point. Like 50 plus, typically 2.5x is good. Would like sizing up here from raid a lot as well to 3 big blinds, maybe. Interesting check raise here. Raid a lot can go for 3 bet, can go for call. That's a kind of action killer for raid a lot. Sure, he turns the set, but like Servla is like his bet calls against 2 bets are going to be a lot of ace-x, right? So from Servla's perspective, that's a bad card for his range. So he's probably still gonna pay once. Just the way he has been playing, I imagine he's going to pay once here. Fold to river unless he improves. Ooh, he just gets away from it, huh? Nice. Yeah, even like Servla, like 2.5x, boys. Go look at pre-flop heads up charts. Must be 2.5x, right? I might be wrong in 2.5x, but it's definitely 2.3x. If you like, we ran tests about that, and I think like it was never a min raise really. So unless you expect your opponent to overfold, sure, like that's exploitatively speaking, right? Mm-hmm. A bigger size here. What terrible Turgard for raid? A lot. Zedla is also like, Another small bet, huh? I guess it makes sense. It's just like, it makes sense with from your range perspective. I don't know if it makes sense from like your hand perspective, right? Now what? You check fold? So weird. Such a weird hand. Zedla is obviously going to bluff this, right? Like, what else is he going to bluff if it's not that? Just jam? Definitely have flushes, right? Can basically have anything is in position. Wow. Will raid a lot call this though? Like, really? No, I think he's going to fold. What a hero he would be if he calls here, huh? What a weird line. Yeah, it's like not that simple to go for a call there. So Severin is going to call this. Could mix in a 3-bet probably with this tweeted stuff. So monotone boards, you typically just want to bet very small if you go for a bet. So bet like 1.5 big blinds type of a bet size. It's fine. What is this, eh? I guess you just sometimes like, hey, I don't believe you. Bye. I'm raising you. Very interesting heads up match. Like I don't know. I'm not a heads up expert by any means, so to me it's just interesting to see. I think I will be playing quite a bit differently in some spots so far. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? So it will go bet raise. Could mix in a call. I don't think it matters too much, but you typically want to raise these spots a lot with the top pair against small bets. Because it's hard to make pairs in poker, guys. It's hard to make pairs in poker. I imagine it's just going to see a bot here. Based on how Servla plays. Overbet. That's fine. Tough spot for Raid a lot. He's going to have some ace-x played exactly like this. So 10x is definitely on like a dicey side. Servla probably going for value here. 15 bigs, 20, like 20 probably. That seems a little bit tightish. Check back, right? Yeah, it must be a little tight. Redlot just has a lot of ace-x in his range on this line, I feel. That you just want to get value from worse ace-x. I would just bet probably 50% though. Small, but so to speak, smaller bet size at pot. So limp pot, goes for check raise, tries to get it in, probably with a king x top pair. Why not? Top pair is good in heads up poker, typically. So goes for raise. Riddler probably just calls. Bet 1, I assume. I'm expecting bet 1 and raid a lot, either call or check raise. Both options will be fine. Kind of the same. If it's not one big blind bet, you do get to fold quite a bit more though. Not this combo from raid a lot's perspective though. He's going to barrel and raid a lot double, like call again? Nah. So raid a lot can go do ways here. You can go for check raise or bet. Either way should be fine. Probably wants to raise. You want to mostly raise king 10. Okay, this must be going in, right? Limp pot, top pair versus 2 pair. Like, what else can we do here? Not going in directly though. So he's going to size it about 7, 8. 8. Yeah, 8 seems more appropriate, probably. There's no way you get away here unless you're going to have some type of read. Yeah, he's just putting it in the middle. Needs a 10 or it's over. It is over. GG, Zervla, and Raidlot. So that's it, guys. If you guys like this type of content, let me know and I will keep popping those out. And yeah, good luck everybody who's playing and I'll see you guys around.